So, good morning, everybody. It's like, what is it, 5 a.m.
It's
and
6:30.
6:30 a.m. feels like 4 a.m. And it's Kinish and Moot. And today we're going to be doing something fun. Kinish is going to be asking me 100 questions that I do not even know what he's going to be asking me. So it's a little scary, but we'll see what happens. Are you ready, Kinish?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so can you tell me, is there a topic this is about, or like what's generally like, what are these questions?
It's basically to know a person, who they are, and um, and understand, where this person is, where this person is coming from when they speak, or why they say things in a certain way, or why their reasoning is particular to them, is unique to them.
Okay, so this is a bunch of questions that you can ask a person if you want to really get to know somebody, like kind of
Exactly.
like icebreaker questions maybe, or if you're just
Exactly.
trying to figure out like who someone is.
Mhm.
Okay, fun. Well, let's get started. What's question number one? Uno.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in Northern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is your happy place?
My happy place is outside in the sunshine,
Mhm.
being outside in the sunlight and also like breathing in fresh air, like being in nature with the sun shining on you, but not too hot, and breathing in like really fresh air in a beautiful setting. Happy
What
place.
what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given. Wow, that's a hard one, because you get so much advice in life, isn't it? I feel like in this information era, people are always wanting to give you advice. Right? But what's the best advice? I think the best advice I've ever been given is, well, you and me have talked about this, right? It's kind of like the Buddhist philosophy, really. It is as it is, So I think that's a really good thing to think about, because things happen in life, and instead of getting upset about things and wishing it was different, it's just kind of accepting things as they are, and then just going from there, like this is what it is, like, and you can't change it, but you can pivot and you can do stuff and you can make decisions now. But there's a lot of things that happen in life that they just are, like we shouldn't spend a lot of our energy like worrying about something that you can't really change. It is as it is.
What are the three things that make you smile?
You make me smile, Kinish. I think little kids make me smile a lot, like they're very pure and very open, and they just constantly remind you like how simple and how much fun life is. So that little kids make me smile. And then I don't know, a really good joke makes me smile, right? Do you want
Okay.
to answer these questions too, Kanish, or should I just be the only one answering these questions?
I can answer them after you answer them.
Okay, yeah, that would be more fun, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, what makes you smile?
the three things that makes you smile?
Yeah, the three things that make you smile.
Mm, maybe my family, um, learning new things make me smile,
Mm.
and learning new things, my family, and um, I think maybe also thinking about you make me smile.
Aw. And I was gonna
Hmm.
say milanesa.
Not really,
Or
but
like
okay.
a really good dish of food or something like that, right?
No, 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 not really.
That
No,
doesn't make you smile, really?
no, not really. No, it's just
Hmm.
my family. Um,
Mm.
yeah, my family. Just learning new things, and then thinking of you make me smile.
Okay, nice.
Hmm.
Next
Okay,
question.
what was the worst date you ever went on?
Oh, wow. The worst date I ever went on. So the worst date I ever went on was kind of like I was pretty young and naive, to be honest. And there was this party going on, this event, and there was this guy at work, and I was like, "Oh, you should come with me. There's this party going on." And he said, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Well, come over to my house and we'll go from there." And then there was this other guy that I was friends with. I thought we were just friends, you know? And I told him about the party too, and he wanted to go. So we were going to this party, and like the one guy showed up who was driving, who I thought was my friend, and I was like, "Hey, nice to see you." And then the other guy showed up, and then I quickly realized I had made a big mistake, and that both of these guys thought they were on a date with me. And I didn't know, I was very naive. Like I didn't realize that, like, and then we left and I went on a date with two guys at once, right? And then like the one guy that was driving was really pissed off, and like at one point he pulled the car over and he goes, "I want to talk to this guy." And they got out of the car and they had like a really heated conversation. And he was basically telling him that I was his, woman, and that he was like this and that. And they got into it. And then they got back into the car and we went to this event together. And it was a very, very uncomfortable situation. And I just didn't know what to do about it, honestly. It was horrible. What's the worst date you've ever been on?
So it was a blind date, and my my friends my friend's girlfriend friend. It was my friend's girlfriend's friend, and um she told me to meet her in a restaurant. I did, and I got her. We sat. She smiled, and that's all she did. She smiled. I would ask questions. Her questions were um, very simple. She just answered. There was no um, uh, there was no complexity about her. There was nothing deep about her, and it was boring. Extremely, it was so boring that I had to. I love carrying dumb watches, and I moved the time on my watch, and I told her that it was time for me to leave. That I had another appointment or another meeting, somewhere to go.
You actually sped up time,
I
literally.
did, I did.
That's
And
awesome.
she said, oh, "Okay, that's cool." She said, "Okay, that's cool. It was good meeting you." I said, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to her. I was with her for literally at the max 20 minutes. It was
Oh, wow.
horrible.
You really did
I,
speed up time.
yeah, it was horrible. And it's funny because like when the server came, he said I think he asked me, "Hey, your food's not done," and I said, "No, that's fine. I if you want to wait for us to pack it for you, no, thank you. I have to leave." And
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah, that's probably the only place that I paid for food that I never got. So, anyways,
Mhm.
that was pretty boring. That that's
Wow.
that's yeah, that's the worst day. Anyways, what do you like to do on the weekends?
Talk to you.
Me too.
Yeah. And before we were talking on the weekends, I like to go river rafting on my weekends in the summertime up until October. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
Okay. Have you ever been in love?
Have I ever been in love? I
Not with
want
your
to
family.
say yes.
Okay.
I think
Mhm.
that the answer is yes. What about you?
Mhm. Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. What's the biggest lesson you learned from your last relationship?
The biggest lesson I learned is, oh, that's an interesting question, because I think you learn a lot from
Do
people.
you do?
I think the biggest lesson that I know now, maybe I didn't 100% know it then, is like, and I don't know if you can ever solve this, but it's like, it's easy to take people for granted, like, especially the longer you're with someone. And so, what I would hope I learned from that last relationship is to be careful not to take the person that you care about for granted too much, because I don't think, I think the longer you're in a relationship, the less you understand how much you've learned from that person and how much you care about them, maybe. So, just not taking people for granted that have been in your life a long time. What about you?
Uh, I think the biggest thing that I learned was being a friend to that person. I learned that just as you learn, as you said, as you said, the more you get to know the person, the the harder it is, not to care about them, to think about them. The more you're with that person, your brain starts creating um, attachment, you know, and thoughts, and so that that makes you want to care about that person, and so you don't want to hurt them, and so then and they're not perfect, and you're not perfect. So the biggest thing that I learned was becoming their friend. I know that it sounds kind of stupid or kind of cliche, but as a friend that they're that they're not perfect, but you like them for who they are, for whatever reason. It's because it's them you care about and make you laugh, smile, and laugh, and have fun, and because you look at them, and as a friend you try to make them better, try to make sure that you care for them and you're responsible for them, and you want to make sure that 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 they improve. But that's it. Let me see. What um how do you define romance?
How did I find romance?
No, how do you define romance?
Oh, how do I define romance? Um, wow, that's a good question. Well, I think that romance is like cooking, like it's a bunch of ingredients maybe. And it's like, well, the environment, the setting, being in a romantic setting is kind of cool. Like with a moon, let's say there's a full moon out, that's kind of beautiful and romantic. Or you're in a beautiful location or something like that. So that's an ingredient, I guess. And then it's kind of like what mood that the two people are in, like what is your mood? That really is an ingredient of romance too. Like it is there buy-in, like do both people kind of buy into that? Because if you feel that sense of romance and the other person doesn't, it kind of kills it, you know what I mean? So having like both people kind of feel that, like that's another ingredient. And then I don't know, just the conversation and um stuff like that. I think there's a lot of little ingredients that kind of result in the outcome, right? Like making something. There's a lot of ingredients that result in a delicious cake or something like that. I think romance is the same thing. What about you?
To me, it's much more simple than that. It's just being with that person, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a special event, or it doesn't have to be a special setting. It can be at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I wake up really early, so it can be, making breakfast. Making I don't eat breakfast, but making coffee together. Uh, Having seen the other person with their hair all messed up. Uh, so the setting to me doesn't make to me doesn't interfere with what romance is to me. Romance is just being with that individual. I like conversations a lot, and I like to understand the depth of the person, because every person is much more complex than just a simple um, uh, a simple entity. There are many entities on that person. That person can be a daughter, that person can be a mother, that person can be an aunt, that person can be a friend, that person um, can be something else. And so that of that person, that person can travel, the person can. And so you to me, what makes me smile is, I told you, learning new things. Learning new things make me smile. And so learning new things about that person, because you can never know everything about that person unless you ask. And so having that conversation, having that dialogue with that person, to me is romantic. Just learning and being able with being with that person because you care about that person. You want to make them smile too. You know, and you want them to to enjoy life in this earth, and just having that person, waking up with you at 3:15 or whatever, or even without makeup, just looking at her and seeing her smile, and that to me is romantic. Even just laying down with that person in bed and watching your iPad or whatever your computer with you, and watching a movie together, next to each other in bed. That to me is romantic. Slow dancing with that person, it's romantic. Man, it's a lot of things that are just being with that person. Period. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're walking in the park, having a conversation. That to me is romantic. I don't care if you're fucking like just being with, taking it, to going out for an ice cream. That's romantic. Anything with that person is romantic. And the way she looks, it doesn't matter. It's just you're in love with that person, and there's nothing physical. I believe that spirit. I believe that everybody has spirit, and I believe that that spirit is the one talking to you. The brighter it shines, the more love and the more warmth you feel for that person. Okay, so that's how I define romance. If you had 1 hour left to live, what would you do?
If I had 1 hour left to live, what would I do?
Yeah.
Wow, I would call every person that I cared about and I would tell them how much I loved them and let them know that, hey, I'm moving on now and it's okay, like don't be sad. I want you to know how much I love you and care about you and how much I appreciated spending time with you in this lifetime. And my time is almost up. And that's what I would do. I would just call everybody I really cared about and let them know. And then I guess I would probably record something before my hour was up that maybe they could play at my funeral. That would be something like, hey everyone, like it's okay, like don't be sad. It's okay. celebrate, if you could celebrate the time we spent together, I would appreciate that. And, just a final message that was more uplifting, asking people not to be sad. And then the last thing I would do in my 1 hour is like make sure that my last will and testament was visible and posted somewhere, like because you just want to make sure your affairs are in order too, right? All of that stuff. What about you? What would you do in your last hour on this earth?
So I don't really care about materialistic things. That's for the living to take care of. That to me is useless. What I would do is, and I shouldn't think about that. What I would do is I would be with my family. I would spend the last hour with my family, and I would like to see them smile because they make me smile. I would I would ask all of them to tell me things that they've never told me, good things that they've never told me about themselves, because I like to learn new things. I like that makes me smile. That makes me happy. Knowing new things makes me happy. Uh, I'm a programmer by trade and a trader by trade, but uh, makes that makes me, what makes me happy is learning new things and knowing how to do things and improving myself and how to do things better. Um, I would ask you to come along. I don't know if you could, but I would ask you to come along and be with me, be with my family, and just because you're the third piece of the puzzle that make me smile. So having those three things with me would would make me very happy.
Oh, that's sweet.
I don't know if that's sweet, but that's what I would do.
Cool.
So, okay, cool. So, do you believe in ghosts?
I do, but I don't always like that word ghost. You know what I mean? Like it kind of like brings up images of Casper the ghost. It's like I definitely believe there are spirits who like have a hard time crossing over, and maybe they don't cross over when they die and they kind of get stuck here for reasons. I think that's what people mean when they say ghosts. But ghosts have kind of like, I don't know. I just don't like the word ghost, but I guess the short answer is yeah, I believe in ghosts. What about you?
Yeah, of course I do believe in ghosts, but I want to know more about you and ghosts. What do you mean? But yes, you do believe in ghosts. What kind of ghosts? What evil, good ones? What?
Well, I think most of what people think of as ghosts, are like spirits that for one reason or another have trouble crossing over, and there's usually like a reason for that. And I have known people who have done work. Like I knew this woman once who was a medicine woman, and people asked for her help sometimes, and like she told us some stories about like how she used to help people with ghosts. And most of the stories are about her helping the ghost or the spirit, I like the word spirit better, helping the spirit cross over. And because there was some reason why they were stuck here, and so like a lot of people think that it's cool to have a ghost in their house or something like that. And she had this person once who thought it was cool that they had a ghost in their house, and like she discovered that it wasn't a nice entity. Like it was cursing and swearing at people. Like it wasn't a very nice spirit. And she wasn't able to help it either, cross over. So she told them, like, hey, I know you think it's cool, but this spirit is not a good one, So I guess like I think there's a reason why these spirits are trapped here. And I think that like if a person has a ghost in their home or a spirit that somehow ends up connected to them, like, I think the best outcome is to help that spirit cross over, like, not to, like, accidentally keep it here, but to try to help it leave, cross over. It doesn't belong here. And even though it seems like haunted houses and all that stuff is cool, like, I don't think it would be very cool to be stuck in a place you don't belong, like, ghosts don't have a body anymore. Their life is this life is over for them, and it's time for them to move on wherever that is. And like, I think the best outcome is to help them if you can cross over, to go where they belong. And so I guess that's what I think about it. What do you think about all that?
About ghost or about them
Yeah.
moving on, or
Yeah.
so I do believe in ghosts. I believe in God. I believe in the I believe in the Holy Spirit. So yes, I do believe in spirits and I do believe in ghosts. I believe in the supernatural, and when I mean the supernatural, I mean anything spiritual. Uh, and I do believe that their energy. Not I don't know about like it's everything that we create. The more emotions we create, the more hormones we produce, and the more energy it's created, because all those chemical reactions produce energy. Is they need energy to be created, and as a result, the more traumatic uh, a person's life is, the more energy it creates. As a result, they, quote unquote, their spirit is brighter, is stronger. Um, um, or a person who who's super loved and who loves a lot, and their their hormones are producing more, or their that smile, that is this creating neurons, and like that new neuron created is created, but that's creating the electrical pulse, and so all that connections creates a bigger spirit. And when that person dies, that that energy has to be transformed somehow, somewhere. uh, I believe that that energy goes, if that person had a good life, uh, to do something good, within this earth. I don't believe in. I believe this is heaven. I believe that I love to live my life the best way I can, and that means what makes me happy, because this to me is heaven. I'm given an opportunity to live in heaven, and I do the best I can to help others, to be a good person, whatever that is, that being generous, being able to help people smile, do my best with my colleagues, my coworkers, the people under me, my employees. It's just um, to see, not only to learn new things and be a better employee, person, whatever, but also to help others, around me, my neighbors, my employees, my employer, be a better person, make them smile, give them that uh, the opportunity to to make this life better, and as a result, having this quote unquote better life, make heaven better. And so because I believe it's a domino effect. Once you push one domino, and you make that person smile, it follows with that person making somebody smile, having a good attitude. um, Someone told me that if you succeed, I succeed, and if I succeed, you succeed. So uh, and so I've gone through that, and I that's a good advice that they gave me, and I, I tend to follow through, and having that having that good energy, quote unquote good energy, once that person, whatever, however that person may go away from this earth, may die, um, that good energy goes into a good a good deed. Perhaps that good energy, can create, something good on this earth, whatever it may be. Maybe sunlight to a flower, or sunlight to, or some type of energy to a flower, or some type of energy to a plant or a tree. And that the good energy that we've given to that tree makes that tree bigger and stronger, or that flower more beautiful, much more florid. um, but that, I believe, that we stay here, that this is heaven and this is where we stay, and that good energy goes into something for the good. I believe that people who are bad, um, the energy uh, doesn't go to a good thing, but rather because it's bad, and whenever you have bad energy or bad, it's in a chemical reaction. It's basically the waste, and as a result, the waste is mm, not broken up pretty good. It's too much sometimes, and too much of one thing can be bad. Um, and I believe that energy is maybe it's not wanted, not wanted by a tree or a flower, and it stays wherever it may be, in a house. And but do I believe that physically can it move stuff? I don't know. That's kind of hard for me to comprehend. Physically, and also like scientifically. I've never encountered like a quote unquote a ghost. I've felt a ghost. I've seen, like, I've never seen anything, but I've felt like I've heard stuff move or stuff. But I don't know. It's just hard for me to understand what had caused that. Do I believe it's a spirit? Yes. Do I believe, how did it move? That's something for me to explain them. That keeps my imagination running. How was it physically able to do that? How can energy do that? Now, yes, energy can do that, but there has to be a force. And is this energy creating a force? You know, how much energy does it? Because it takes energy to create a force. So, that's something very interesting that I'm always battling with. I'm always pushing. That's why I enjoy learning about ghosts and what, because once I know more about them, then I'm able to maybe give me clues and hints on how I can answer my question. Okay, so who would narrate an audiobook about your life?
Who would narrate an audiobook about my life?
Hmm.
Um, I think it would make sense for me to narrate. Like, I think the best person to narrate a book about your life is you. And as a person who likes to listen to audiobooks, I enjoy listening to, like, the person, like, I recently listened to an audiobook on Lord of the Flies that was read by the
Mm,
author, and it was really good, but it was by the person who wrote the story, like. So I like to listen to audiobooks that are narrated by the actual author. And so if it's a biography, I think it's way more interesting to listen to a person telling their own story than like an actor or something like that. So I think the best person to narrate my life story would be me. What about
okay.
you?
So I would have different chapters of my life. Um, well, of course, in the book, I would have different chapters, and those are experiences that I lived with different people. Uh, and I would want that person on that chapter to narrate that chapter. So that I would have different narrators.
Ooh, I
So
like
I would,
that. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have, for instance, the first 5 years. of the first 7 years of my life, I would be my father, my mother. Well, my father. uh, I'll be my dad, and he would say, whatever. I kick the ball or whatever. I kick the ball with him, whatever. You know what I mean? And then maybe the next years of my life, I would have maybe my brother, and then I would have my sister, and then I would have my one of my girlfriends, and then I would, and it's so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Uh, and then I would probably have a teacher or a coach. You know what I mean? Um, and that'd be so interesting. How they would speak the tone of it, because they lived those moments with me. You know, oh, interesting.
Yeah, that
That'd
would
be
be
so cool.
interesting. I love that. I think that's a great idea. I
Yeah,
think
because
that
if
would
I,
be interesting as a listener too, to
mhm,
hear different voices. I do like
yeah, 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 uh, and pro bono.
pro
So
bono.
yeah, it'll be kind of expensive if you get a different. Anyway, so how do you cheer yourself up?
How do I cheer myself up? Whenever I feel like out of control or depressed or something like that, I try to remember, first of all, that this is a temporary existence, our lives, and our range of emotions is temporary. And then the second thing I do is like, I really believe that, like, I believe in energy. I think that depression and sadness is energy. And I think that a lot of times it's based on this feeling that you're trapped in one lifetime, and personally, I don't believe that we just live one lifetime. And so what I do to cheer myself up is I kind of just try to like move all of that out of the way and bring in like the white light and just change my energy, like through, it's kind of like a meditation, really. It's like, okay, I need a minute here, like I need to take a minute and to just move that dark energy out of the way and replace it with the light energy, which is really about like rising above whatever it is that's making you sad or depressed and recognizing that you're way more than this, like you're deeper and more than just this one moment. And also that like it's okay, like it's okay to feel these things, but you don't have to get stuck in them either. Like to me, energies should just pass through you. It shouldn't like stick you into a heavier moment for a long time. So, one thing is like understanding why you feel a certain way, and the next thing is like just like moving it out of your way by bringing in light and bringing in healing into your physical body and to just dissolve that energy. And I think that when you understand at a higher level why you feel a certain way, it's easy to move past that moment, like it's easy for that moment to be like 35 minutes instead of like a whole day or whatever. So that's what I do. I just basically, I think you could say I meditate, I go to a quiet place of silence and I take charge of my own energy instead of being a victim of heavier energy. I take charge of my energy and bring in the light, just bring in the light and understand, why I feel these different ways. What about you? What do you do?
When I used to work, I rarely feel sad, because I have this routine, and I'm so used to my routine, and I know the people in the routine, I know what to expect in the routine, and so it's really rare for me to feel like stressed, um, or there's something, out of the ordinary. In fact, I don't know if there's something out of ordinary. I'm like, I'm kind of a little shocked. I'm like, whoa, there's something going on here. But I mean, you are talking to you sometimes, sometimes it makes me, I know you have feelings, and it makes me mm, not agree with you on certain levels, and it doesn't make me upset, but um, sometimes your answers are very different from what I expected, or from what from my answers. Because I have my answers, and I'm expecting maybe you to have because I don't know you very well, but I still know who you are. Um, and so I'm expecting for you to answer a certain way, but sometimes you shock me, and I'm like, whoa. And as a result, that sometimes it doesn't upset me, but it throws me off, thinking that I know you, but then I don't. And that's why I say I know you, but then I don't. Um, and what I say to myself is just, she's a human being. She has different answers. She's that's her level of depth, and which I like. And that shouldn't make me upset. The contrary, that should make me more curious and understand her more, and wanting um, to know her more, to know you more. It makes me want to know why you're saying what you're saying, uh, your reason behind things. Sometimes it's frustrating, you know, right? And that's the how I combat that is asking you, being able to communicate with you. So that's how I deal with. That's how I cheer myself up. Uh,
Hmm.
learning more. I have two fears. One of my first fears, fear of heights. The second fear I have is the fear of darkness, in the sense where I like to I like knowledge. I like to understand why things happen. I like to understand why why we do things, and what not only what we do things, and what also why other people do things, and because I want to make sure that I'm not in the dark and not understanding what they're saying, or what, either through language or through psychological or through emotional, and also what's under my body. What when I eat something, or when I put something in my mouth, whatever it is, or whatever something is going in my body, what's going on? What how are these uh, inputs coming into my body? How are they reacting to the body? And so by learning more about them, it cheers me up. It's like, so whenever I feel sad, whenever I feel angry, I like to go and learn new things. That's how I get cheered up, either about that person or about anything in particular. I go to when I was younger, my father had a huge, he has a huge library full of books. And whenever I was angry, he would put me into that, he would put me into that room. It's a big room. It was a big room, and it was full of books. And so I would, one day I decided, you know what? I don't want to just, he would put me in sort of timeout. But I said to myself one day, you know what? I'm angry, but this is not, um, this is not improving myself. How about I go read a book? And that's after reading a book, I stopped thinking about my anger. And in the contrary, I started thinking about something else. And then I read a book about why you get angry. And then I started thinking about, I would write down why I was angry. And I would try to figure out, back then, when I was growing up, there was not such a internet, Google wasn't a big thing. So I had to look it up. and 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 I would look up my anger, and why why do why do children don't like doing chores, or whatever, why do parents not, want, want their children to, why do they want them to do chores? And then I started understanding why my dad or my mom or whomever, wanted me to do something that I didn't want to do. And I said, okay, that I understand now that that doesn't make me that angry anymore. Uh, but um, but learning new things cheer me up, you know, going into the library, um, reading a magazine, knowing that that there's so much to learn. I don't know anything on this earth. The amount of knowledge that I know is mm, it's microbial. It's at a level of an atom. It's nothing. And so knowing new things is like, whoa, shit. It's like a boost of, like a dose of happiness. So that makes me smile. That's one thing that makes me smile. And also talking to my family, and talking, well, you kind of make me upset, but like I will make you, but maybe listening to my father tell me a joke, that also makes me smile too. But mostly reading because I know he's busy sometimes. So if he answers, if I go and read and I learn something new, it makes me smile. And then if I talk to my dad, if I'm able to talk to my dad or my brother, and he tells me a joke, then that's cherry on top of the cake, and that makes my day. And and then if I'm mad at someone else, and then I talk to you and I hear your voice, just by hearing your voice makes me smile. And that's what makes me, that's how I cheer myself up.
Yeah, that's cool. I heard this, like, there was this documentary I saw where this psychiatrist was like, he had some unorthodox methodologies, and he was like, he asked people, like, he didn't want people to leave without accomplishing anything, because a lot of times people like go to a psychiatrist or a counselor and they talk and they leave and they don't really get better, So we
Hmm.
wanted people to leave that session feeling like they'd achieved something.
Hmm.
So he would do this like matrix of how the person was going to change their life force. And it was like a pyramid. And on the bottom of the pyramid was physical, like the physical actions you can take. And that's kind of like diet and exercise and stuff like that. And he was saying that 80% of the challenges, like the reason why people were depressed or whatever, that they could fix 80% of that just by diet and exercise, which is an astonishing number,
Hmm.
80%.
Hmm.
And
That's
so
true.
when you're talking about, like, when you started off saying, well, I'm not really that depressed that often because of my routine, it made me think of that psychiatrist and that
Hmm.
matrix, and how, like, because a lot of people in this country are struggling with depression. I saw a study that it was like 50% every two, one out of every two, or something crazy like that. And so if you think about like what that psychiatrist is saying, like 80% of it is about your routine, like something that you're talking about. Like, I don't get depressed that often because I have a routine.
Hmm.
That's actually very interesting, like,
Yeah, I didn't put it like that, but it's interesting. Yeah, because my routine is about jogging, exercising, and eating correctly. It's jogging, exercising, jogging, and going to the gym. I run about 10 miles a day, so and I get that high. And during that time, every morning I go and see the sunrise, and then I see the sunset, and I pray when I'm seeing the sunrise, and I get to reflect. And
yeah.
that mentally, that helps me a lot, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people get seasonal affective disorder, where when
Hmm.
there's less sunlight,
Hmm.
they get depressed, So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think
true.
that we focus enough on like our relationship with the planet, like, because
Hmm.
you spend a lot
Uh,
of time outside, and it's like,
yes,
for
and
people who are stuck
mhm,
indoors all the time, and like being outside with the planet and the fresh air and the earth and the
mhm,
smells and just your biology, and like we were kind of made to be a part of all
outside.
that, and
Yes.
when you're separated from it, I think it can cause depression, like And I think it could be easy to fix with the things that you're talking about, like a routine or like just being outside with the planet all the time, you know?
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
So that's cool. Well, that would be a good thing to talk more about, actually. You know,
mhm.
what's the next
Okay.
question?
Who knows you best?
Who
Who knows
knows me
you?
best?
Yeah. Who knows you best?
I think my mom knows me best, like I think that my mom and I have a really good relationship, and we talk a lot about a lot of different things. And I think in some ways we share a lot too, So I think in terms of who knows me the best, I think it's probably my mom.
Mhm.
What about you?
So I think I don't know. It's very, very hard. I think it's gonna be a competition between my brother and this other person. Um, I lived with the other person for a couple of years. Um, should I say? I shouldn't say names, right?
Yeah,
Moot. I shouldn't say names, right?
right, right.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I lived with another person, and I was with that person 24/7, and they knew exactly how I reacted, the way I reacted, why I reacted. I knew the person, why they reacted, how they reacted. And my brother, I mean, he grew up with me. He was my my bedroom mate uh, for for basically half my life, And so um, I enjoyed the good, the bad with him, um, whatever that may be. And so he knows how I am, but then the other person knows me more intimately. We spent nights together, physically, emotionally. Um, I've read this person had diaries of her life. um, and we got to read all of these diaries together. Um, it was it was interesting, how when you go in and and go into detail of a person's life and how much secrets they hide from others and or how much things they're not telling others, not secrets but things they're not telling others, or they keep to themselves, and how what they think of others. And it's just so interesting. I don't want to say odd because everybody to each their own, but you think you're normal, but you understand that others are like also, they have their own ways. So I read all these people, this person's diaries, and because of that, I started doing diaries. Actually, that person made me want to not hide not keep it to myself, but actually write it down. I did keep it to myself, of course, because it's my diary, but then I would write it down instead of just thinking about it and forgetting about it. And then I could go back and also reflect. It helped me reflect too. But once, and I would ask that person question on what she thought, why was she thinking that way? What made her angry, upset, happy, sad, and 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 we would talk about that. It was like uh, we didn't have uh, we didn't have energy in that house, so we did have energy, but we didn't have like TVs. We didn't have. I purposely told her we're not gonna have a TV. We're just gonna read books. We're gonna do stuff together. We're going to, I guess, live like hippies. I mean, that's weird, but it is. I didn't want to have. I wanted to have a. What makes me happy is, being with that individual, not, you know, just sharing that time together with that individual, whatever it may be, reading with her. I play violin, so and she'll play piano. So she would, play music for me. I would play music for her, and I would, carve things for her. She would do crafts. She would do crafts for us. She was good seamstress, and And then we would read her journals, and she had volumes of her journals. I mean, journals since she was 5 years old. It was so cute. Um, so I really, 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 really got to know her. But then she really, really got to know me, because she would ask me the same like questions like this, like, okay, so if you were in a situation, what would you do? And I would tell her. I would say, since it was just me and her and I would just be very honest with her. Sometimes I would tell her, hey, man, this is what I would do. And sometimes it was shocking. uh, so, so she really, as a result, I mean, learning what I would do as a 5 year old from a, you know, 29, 30-year old person, whatever individual, uh, but understanding, her understand me, what I would do in certain situations. She really got to know me. And to this day, I think she's the person that actually, I think she knows me the most. Mhm.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like having a relationship where you trust someone enough to read
Mhm.
all your journals
All
from
the
your
time. Yep.
whole life. Like
I was with her
I
for
just think
6 years.
about like
Yep.
because a lot of people today like they really encourage writing in your journals. Like it's a
Hmm.
way, it's like a thing that's widely promoted and encouraged for people to do. And so just imagine if you just like write down all your deepest, most intimate thoughts and struggles throughout your whole life, going back to 5 years old. Talk about an autobiography, right? And
Hmm.
then you just like hand that over to someone to read, like that's an amazing bond, like the trust that you have with someone, right?
Yeah. So the way it was funny, the way we figured it out was that the way we picked them up was that we lived like really close to her family, her parents' house, and so one day we were looking at her family's house, and her attic, they have paintings, and then they have like of their ancestors, and then they have like all this like pottery that they collect throughout their times. And then they have boxes of themselves, like of journals of their ancestors, their great 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 grandpa who went to a war here, and then they went to a war over there. And so they wrote, because they wanted to communicate. Sometimes letters didn't make it. So her, for instance, one of her ancestors was in Civil War, and this, I'm not gonna say the state they're from, but they that sometimes they would be in, let's just say, in Tennessee or in Alabama, and by the time that it would reach that state, they're from the north. They're fighting in the north, from the north, and they're in the Northern Army fighting in the south. By the time that letter would reach that state they lived in, the Northeast, either it was probably destroyed, it would probably be maybe confused to another state, another regiment. And so it's funny because on the diary, he would say that most of the letters that he would write, never got to them. So that's an irony, you know. That's why he started writing the diary, because he wanted to make sure that if something happened to him, that he would write down that he loved his family, and what he did throughout, and how much he cared about them, how much he thought about them. So that's the reason why he would write the diary, because he couldn't send them letters of how he felt about them, or what he was thinking about them. So that was very interesting that we saw, we started picking that up, and then I saw, like, her mom's, and I saw her dad's, but of course that was, I didn't want to intrude, because that was not my thing. I didn't care about the dead people, her dead ancestors, because they're dead. And that's part of history. And I love history, and I love war, and I love, anything deal with any you know old war stuff. And it was really interesting how these men thought about, what they were living and how they lived. And then we got into this box, and she said, hey, those are my diaries. And I said, oh, cool. And then she looked at me and she says, you want to read them, right? And I said, it's up to you. That's your decision. They're your diaries, and that's your privacy. And and um and I'll be happy with whatever decision you take. And she says, no, no, no. At night we should read them. And I think, yeah, she actually told me, I want you to know more about me. And of course, there's some secrets, very, very, very deep secrets uh, that of course, I'm not saying openly, but that you learn about that person. Sometimes, whoa, like sometimes they amaze you what they think, but then you start realizing, what are they still thinking that same way? And then you say, yes, they are. So then how they're thinking, exactly how they're thinking. And every time I see that, you get to know the physical of the person, and the skin, the eyes, the movement of the skin, that little wrinkle in their skin, and what they're thinking. Uh, and it's so interesting. It's very, very interesting that even the facial features, the characteristics of a physical of a person, it's almost telling you what the brain is thinking. You know, uh, I find that amazing. And so then, yeah, it was very entertaining. For that time that I was with the person, and it was a thing that never ended. It was every night we read diaries, and once again she would tell me, what would you do? What would you do if you're in this situation? And that was so fun. I really enjoyed it. We spent hours, maybe 1 or 2 hours just reading about the weekends. We would spend more than 2 hours. It was fun. In the morning, afternoon, we had nothing to do. Hey, let's read the diary. Anyways, let's see. The next question is, what's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear. I made the mistake of watching a bunch of shark videos. They have this thing called Shark Week. And I don't know why. Maybe I was just bored one night, but I watched all these videos about stories, including this one guy that was abalone diving, and like he turned around and he saw this shark with his mouth wide open coming towards him, and he pretty much like swallowed this guy whole, but somehow he ended up getting out of the shark's mouth by poking his eyes or whatever. And of course, it's an amazing story. Like he was seriously injured, like because a shark has these laser sharp teeth and whatnot. But anyways, the man miraculously survived with a lot of scars and stuff like that. But anyways, I guess I developed a fear of sharks that I don't like being afraid of things. And in general, throughout my life, if I'm afraid of something, I try to go directly to that thing, because I think fear holds you hostage and it keeps you contained, in a limited world. And it's like the only way to bust out of that is by going directly to the thing that you fear, until you are no longer afraid of it. And so like I learned to do that incrementally. Like you don't want to just go out and do something that like you don't want to be stupid and like risk your life unnecessarily. But there's a lot of ways of facing fear in our society that are relatively safe, I think, like bungee jumping or skydiving. And so I did all those things, as a way of like facing fear, to get it out of my way. And so now I have this fear of sharks that I never had before I watched all these stupid videos. So I've been thinking about like, I need to go swim with the sharks, like how do I get that out of my head? And so they do have these opportunities where you can go in shark cages and swim with great white sharks, And so I am going to do that, I think, because I don't like the fact that I've developed a fear of sharks. And so one time when I was surfing in Santa Cruz, because for a while I started to try to surf, and I wasn't very good at it, and I didn't realize how technical surfing was. So, and then I also realized when I was surfing that I really liked more paddling out past the surf break. I just really liked being on the ocean. So I found myself to be more of a kayaker, sea kayaker than a surfer. But I was surfing for a while in Santa Cruz, and there's another place in Pacifica where all the beginner surfers go, Lindamar Beach. And one time I was in Santa Cruz and I was like a little bit scared, you know, it was stormy, there's big waves, like it can be very intense sometimes. And then like everything just started going wrong. And I realized in that moment that I was calling on my fears, you know, like if you're scared and you allow that fear to control you, you can actually like, and this is something the Native Americans taught me actually, is like you can actually call that fear to you. And you, like if you're scared of something, you can attract, and I think you will attract the thing that you're scared of. You'll attract it to you because you've accidentally connected yourself to something energetically that you could no longer avoid. It's going to be attracted to you like a magnet until you're able to dissolve that fear. And I realized that in Santa Cruz when it was like a really stormy day and I was surfing and I was slipping on the rocks and stuff. And I just had this moment where I was like, I'm calling on my fear right now, you know, like I'm calling it to me and it's becoming real. Like the things I'm scared of are manifesting themselves around me. And in order for me to have a good experience, I really need to move this out of my way. And that's where I think meditation comes in very handy as a tool, because meditation, you know, it's such a like woke word. Everybody's meditating now, blah, blah, blah. But what meditation really means to me anyway, and maybe there's better words for it, is like what it really means is quieting your mind and being in silence so that you can address energy in its raw, pure form. And I have found that it is so much easier to move fear and other types of energy out of your way if you turn off your brain and you're in the silence of yourself, experiencing it in its raw, pure state as energy. And that's what I did in Santa Cruz, is I just switched off my brain, because the brain can really contribute. Like it can actually grow those things with thoughts. And like I think what the brain does is that like the energy comes in and then the brain starts to translate that into thinking, and it can take you on this like whirling ride. So I just switched off my head, you know, and just was like, and also you can actually call in other energy too, like to combat the fear, like pure energy, you know, like I need to get this out of my way. So just with those techniques, I was able to like move that out of my way, and then everything changed, you know, and it was like I wasn't afraid of the storm as much, and then things just sort of became different at that point. And that was a huge lesson to me in fear and how you confront fear and how important it is actually to confront fear. Because if you don't confront what you're scared of, it will hold you hostage. It will take over your life. It will create limitations. It will keep you from even sometimes being who you really are, you know? And it's like, I don't think anybody is perfect at, you know, like mastering this. Maybe some people are perfect, but I guess I do try when I realize, when I become conscious that I'm afraid of something, I do try to go directly to the thing I'm scared of and start working with it to dissolve that fear. So I know I need to go swim with the sharks because I have an unfounded fear of them, you know, like it's not based on experience, just based on watching a bunch of stupid videos. But anyways, that's a long answer for what I'm scared of. What about you?
That's funny, man. I want to see that. I want to see that show. Uh, so I think that I'm not afraid of like I'm afraid of two things. I'm afraid of heights, and I'm afraid of not knowing. And so what I do when I don't know, I read a lot. So you're right. I do the thing that basically that I'm afraid of. You know, not knowing. Well, then I go read. I'm afraid of heights, and so I try to go to the top, the highest mountain I know that is closest to me, and try to climb it. And in fact, I live in a hill, and I live on top of the hill, and I could literally see for miles. And I have a deck, and that deck is about maybe 30 feet, 30 maybe 40 feet from the ground. And I did it on purpose because I wanted to combat my fear. I wanted to challenge that fear and know that nothing happens. It's just mental. Nothing happens. I when I was in I do like to climb I work in a very high very tall skyscraper, and so then I once in a while I go up when I have time and look outside, and nothing happens. It's just a fear, but I challenge that fear and I always win. And actually makes me happy because the view from the top is very beautiful. When I climb that mountain, or I go to the Eiffel Tower, to the highest part of the Eiffel Tower, or you know I look at I look at the city or the scenery or whatever it may be, and I see how pretty that the view is. And there's so much, when you challenge that fear, there's so much beauty, and there's so much pride in yourself, and that you have conquered something, that you have achieved something, and you become that super. So there's a book by Friedrich Nietzsche, and he talks about fear. He talks, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And it's true. That's how I feel every time. That's why I live in a high place, because I want to go outside and say, hey, that's my fear. Is that it? Is that it? I mean, I don't want to sound like chauvinistic or anything, but I I want to make sure that I can conquer, my own mental challenges. And with the heights, I and now I enjoy it. I know that it is for me. It is challenging for me, but once I'm there, I say how beautiful it is. The scenery or whatever it may be, or just that that track, of going up, that trek of going up that mountain or going up those stairs. It's challenging in its own way, knowing that I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna see. I'm looking forward to the the richness of a word that I'm gonna get once I conquer that, whatever, that mental challenge that I have. And then with wisdom, actually, that not knowing, just that's another thing that makes me happy too. That's an irony. It's a fear, but it's a fear that makes me happy. That always keeps me alive. That makes me alive. Makes Fear makes you feel alive. To me it does. Not knowing, that's the first thing I do. I Google something, or now I look it up. You know what I mean? It's just trying to figure it out. Sometimes, of course, it takes longer. Certain things take longer than others, but I'm in the process of it. I mean, in that doing that process makes you, I don't know, makes you feel alive. Like, oh shoot, I'm learning new things. I'm learning that thing. Oh wow, I didn't know this happened. Oh, it's interesting. And so um, you know that that passage to conquering your fear is actually really rewarding in itself, and it's awesome. I love it, man. I love challenges. That's one thing about me. That's what and I do things. That's the one thing I love about myself. I do things that make me happy, and things that make me happy are being with my family, learning new things. Just learning new things make me happy. And so that's one of my fears, not knowing, and but you know challenging that fear makes me happy. So that's it. That's those are my fears. Mood.
That's cool. I
Mhm.
mean, it's cool that you have been able to like confront your fear that way. Where did you,
and
what
and
do
enjoy
you
it.
know, like,
Enjoy it.
yeah, I know, right? Like it's hard to confront your fears sometimes because it's such an intense energy. Like fear is
Hmm.
a very intense, like
Hmm.
survival energy, and it's like, it is like making that commitment that you're going to confront that, like that's huge. And then actually walking forward and confronting that and doing the work, like it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while to
No, it
dissolve
does.
fear. Like it starts
It
out
does.
really intense. And then over time, like the more you confront it, it becomes less and less and less until like one day it doesn't really exist anymore, like,
Doesn't.
and
It
that's such
doesn't.
a freeing feeling. It's so empowering to be
You know,
able to
it's
do and go places that you were previously afraid to, like now you
mhm,
have access to all these new worlds. It's exciting.
it is. And like also with you, once you know about sharks and they don't harm you, they're just curious. You'll understand that, hey, they're actually creatures, they just have instincts, and they have very sharp teeth, but they used to those, those teeth to, break through the skin of the prey, you know, but they're
Yeah.
not here. I'm not the prey, I don't live in their environment. They're beautiful creatures, they're just, they're given that through nature, through the DNA passed on, and as a result, they look scary, but they're useful. They're useful for something, for maybe
Yeah.
digestion, So, anyways, but yeah, so
Well, I was gonna
talk.
say too, like the ocean is a beautiful world, and it's
It
almost
is.
like having a fear like that is limiting because like I have been certified as a scuba diver before and gone scuba diving in Monterey and I've been snorkeling in Hawaii and places like that. And it's like having access to that underwater world, it's like another universe and it's three
hmm
quarters of our planet, So
hmm
being
2/3.
limited by a fear of sharks, that's very rare. Like shark attacks, I know are very, like with my head, I know it's unfounded, like
hmm
they're very rare. But I mean, overcoming that fear is like being able to have access to this whole beautiful world that's underwater. It's so cool.
hmm And it's also like that. That I'll probably be that hunter. That lived long, long, long time ago, like ancestors, like where that there was a saber-toothed tiger, but they were hungry, and they knew that saber-toothed tiger was food, but they were also scared of it. But you have to confront that fear to get that food. You know what I mean? So once you kill that saber-toothed tiger, and you understand that, yeah, they can kill you, but you can also kill them, and as a result, you get their meat, for food. That's
Yeah.
rewarding. Yeah. So that's the way I see it too. Okay, so that's let's go to the next question. What's the best gift you've ever been given?
Wow. The best gift I've ever been given, my mom's life back, like my mom just got in a really bad accident not too long ago, like a few weeks ago, I feel like. And she walked away from it, and so that was, I think everyone realized what a gift that was because it was pretty bad, like it could have been like that could have been it. So that's a pretty powerful gift that my family was given before the holidays, my mom's life, and we all feel that very poignantly how fortunate we are and blessed we are to have my mom, with us still. And that comes down to gratitude for the people in your life, and not never taking people for granted. Because a lot of times, like there's this song, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. But it's that old saying, that you don't know what you have till it's gone. And then suddenly you realize how much you actually had. And so I think that is a gift in and of itself, is that consciousness of saying like with everything, like even sometimes with with my job and my workplace and the people, there's so many great people around me all the time. They're so gifted and powerful, and it's like, and I think so often we forget to tap into that, like there's some pretty amazing things that are always in our lives that we take for granted and we don't really tap into it and don't really like get the most out of the world. So just that whole thing that happened with my mom is like being more like the gift of consciousness, like the gift of being awake and recognizing how special and important people are, and how much they mean to us, like I think that in and of itself is a gift, honestly. What about you?
The biggest gift I've ever been given is to be alive, like just to be alive, to be present in this moment. A gift from God. Of course, my parents had to be intimate with one another, but I believe that that the probability of me living based on the sperm count is 1 in 800,000. 1 in 1 million. So it's basically winning the lottery just to be alive. Most people don't realize how lucky you are to be alive, because they don't understand the probability that you yourself are alive. You know,
Yeah.
it's very rare. So, but being alive, you you get to experience new things. Good, the bad, but you get to experience them. You get to be that lucky person that gets to do it. That sperm that gets to do it. It becomes a fully grown human being and experiences that life. That comes with it. The good, the bad, and be able to meet people, good and the bad, and enjoy those moments. Uh, I'm very thankful to God for giving me that gift. That gift, and and I'm going to do the best thing that I can do that He has given me from that gift, which is the present. He's present. His present is being in the present. That's His
Yeah.
present for me. So yeah, I'm going to take advantage of it and do the best I can to the best way you can, to be, grateful for that gift is to use it and use it in a good way. Use that gift in a good way. So I do my best in life to do good to society, myself, my neighbors, family. Uh, so yeah, use the gift.
Yeah. It makes me think also like what a gift health is, because it's just sort of like we spend so much time and energy on like fixing up our house. People spend a lot of money and time fixing up their houses, and you just don't realize sometimes what a gift health is, and that like the only house you really have is your body. And when health disappears, like it's very poignant, so the gift of being in good health, right, is like that is an amazing gift, to be able to be free and to run and to like climb and hike and do all those things. It's like it's one of those things that I think we take for granted, but it's such a gift, the gift of health, right?
Yeah, taking care of yourself, being able to to know what's going on in your body, what are you inputting, what you're thinking, you know, good,
Yeah.
separate between the good and the bad, either mentally or physically.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go move to the next question. If you
Next
could
question.
travel, if you could travel back in time, where would you go?
Oh, that's such a fun question, right? Oh, where to go back in time? Such a fun question. Um, Gosh, it's so hard to choose, like, and then the other thing is like some of our like perspectives of history is very distorted by Hollywood, because some of these time periods, like they were kind of like brutal and like I don't think we realize it, but we're living like kings and queens right now used to live back, like a couple hundred years ago. Like the way that we're living, well, not everyone, but the way that sort of like a lot of people are living is like would be considered like kings and queens of 200 years ago, like flipping on a switch and having lights and like having like central heating and cooling, and like I mean it's amazing, to think about going back in time and not having like lights and not having like electricity or like even music. Although on the other hand, like being able to have because people didn't have electricity, they spent more time together, so like in the evenings when people would gather, someone would play a musical instrument because they didn't have radios and stuff like that. So a lot more people played musical instruments and sang, and like there was a lot more storytelling and narration because you couldn't click on a button and listen to an audiobook or something like that. It was like how you entertained yourself. So I guess I'm just trying to think like what time period would I actually want to go back to, and also like who would I want to be in that time period, because it really wasn't fun for a lot of people, not having good food to eat, a lot of poverty. So a lot of what we see about history on is on the television, and it's really just the people who were affluent. You don't really get a good glimpse of how people lived in poverty, which was rough, very rough in the cities. So, oh, man, I'm struggling with this question. Why don't you go first? Why don't you go, Kanish? Because I am really struggling to kind of like think, where would I actually want to go back in time?
I would. I'm a Christian, and I love the teachings of Paul. So I would want to go back and meet both Jesus and Paul. And I'm not talking about Jesus, your next door neighbor named Jesus. I'm talking about Jesus of Nazareth and Paul of Tarsus, and get to know them, understand their philosophy more, understand what they thought, why they thought that way, and being able to feel the energy, being able to feel the energy, their positive energy, and how I can be a better person. I always tend to be a better person. That's my goal in life. And I think that being with them would give me that, not only knowledge, but more than anything, that positive physical vibe. When you're next to like someone who's extremely positive, someone who's extremely good, they give you that really good vibe. Like you feel good. So I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're going to give me a really good vibe because they're good human beings. What they wrote was very cool. And so I would want to visit them and have that vibe, have that good vibe, So that's where I would go.
Okay, well, I like that. So I
Yeah.
think that if I was going to travel back in time, I like where you went with that, where you wanted to go back in time to meet someone historical, like to meet them and learn from them. And so that's great. If I were going back in time, I think I would want to go back in time to like to like when the West was being developed in California, and like there was like a bunch of bohemian writers, Western writers, a lot of women writers too, like Mary Austin, and there was like Mark Twain was still alive. So I would like to go back to California before it was really developed. And another thing is like what it must have been like to farm in California. No one had ever done that. Like it was like the land, was so pure. So just being a part of that whole thing before it was all developed, I think that would be cool to experience that.
That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think your best quality is?
My best quality. Mm, I think that I think my best quality is that I really like to help people. And I think I'm always focused on, well, I try to always be focused on what is for the highest good, even if I don't like it. Because if you really ask that question when you're living your life, and you're making decisions, like what is for the highest good? Because we're constantly presented with decisions that have to be made. Sometimes I don't like the answer, because it isn't always for my benefit, and it's like, I think we live in a very self-interested world right now where there's a lot of self-interest on the part of companies, and even organizations can be very self-interested. They often don't work with each other. Organizations, charity organizations, like even though they're cause-driven and good organizations, and they share similarities with other organizations, they don't like to work together. So it's a very siloed and self-interested world that we live in right now, I think. And I think a good quality I have is being able to rise above that when I make decisions, and say, by asking myself, okay, there's a challenge or a problem, what is for the highest good? And I kind of always know the answer. And sometimes I legitimately don't like it, and I know that it's not going to be nice for me, but I make the decision anyway, because I do feel like that is more important than me in a lot of ways, like walking a path for the highest good for all concerned. Like it's like you're trying to get to an outcome that benefits everyone, not just benefits me. And I do have to give up stuff sometimes when I operate that way, like I do have to give up the glory, recognition sometimes, making decisions like that. But it almost always works out for the best. And it also works out for my best too, And so sometimes it's painful to do that, but I've always had good results operating like that. And like, because if you just make decisions that are about self-interest, sometimes you get a quick hit of like whatever, that benefits you. But often in the long term, it's not as like rewarding, And I think that even professionally, like people really like start to respect you because you're not really in competition with anyone, you just want an outcome that's for the highest good for everyone. And I think it's something in a capitalistic competitive culture like we have in America, that I don't think we have enough of it, because sometimes I think people don't realize there's enough for everyone, like there's enough glory for everyone. There's enough resources to share. We have enough, like it's not like scarcity and abundance. One person gets and other people don't. I mean, obviously it can be like that. But if you operate from a place of always seeking what is for the highest good, you recognize that you will benefit in the end with everyone else, because there's enough. And I think in a capitalistic, self-interested culture such as we have a little bit more of today, that I don't know, I think that the competitive aspects of the way that everything's structured, even the politics is very competitive, that it doesn't always align with the highest good. And you can see the consequences of that. Some people have and some people don't, and it's like there are consequences for that, I guess, for everyone. But anyways, I think that's a good quality I have on a micro level, just like a day-to-day level.
My quality would be that I'm very positive. I'm very positive to a point where I sometimes I am too positive. And the reason I am positive and a little above average positive is because I've had really rough situations where growing up, I had my dad very disciplined. I said to myself, well, what I would say to myself, well, what's the reason why I'm doing this? How can I improve? Okay, I'm here learning. I'm being stuck in a library with a bunch of books, with nobody. How can I take advantage of this? Okay, so I take my resources and using the best way I know how, which in my growing up was books. I read so many books growing up. During the summer, my dad would take me to the library for my parents would take me to the library all day. And I was stuck in the library all day. And what do I do? Just read, 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 read as an avid reader. And then I was faced with a situation where people in my life have died, and but then I said to myself, well, what's the positive of that? Now I get to live what they couldn't live, and I get to experience that. I get to add their bucket list to my bucket list, and that's gonna be fun. And and it has been, people who have passed away that are very dear to me. Um, but that were very dear to me had bucket lists, which they shared with me, and I've taken them on, and I've learned that their their actually their stuff on their bucket is pretty cool, and so I think I took that, and then in my jobs that I've taken, I've done so many quirky odd jobs, being a teacher, being a picker in a farm, you know, very, very, very cold temperatures, very, very hot temperatures. And but then you see the positive side of that, just being able to communicate with people, learning new things about people. And I'm talking about not rich people, I'm talking about low income people, poor, very, very poor people, immigrants, hippies, all sorts of people that you meet as speakers. And then as teaching, I taught at university, and you learn from students, they're ambitious, they're quick-witted, and it makes you smile, that you put yourself in their shoes, and you remember how much you wanted to get out of there so you could make so much money. uh, and you get the positive, you're not just you have to create so many papers, you have to create tests, you have to create homeworks. No. I said, I'm doing this homework, I'm doing this test for them or for myself, to challenge myself. What would I do to make it more challenging for the student so they can think? So it was fun, actually. It was fun making tests. It was fun making homeworks. It was fun grading the test because you see how they think, how people think, what they use, what they not, how much they know, how much they don't. It was fun. It was time consuming, but fun. Um, and then, just being positive in life, period. Say, oh, it's raining outside, so where I live, it rains daily. Not daily, but almost daily. And today it's raining outside, and I'm looking outside, and it's gray outside, but that's okay because inside my heart it's sunny and bright and full of joy. And I'm doing
Oh,
this podcast.
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and I'm doing this podcast with you. Make me smile. Um, so so I'm always positive. I know behind those clouds there's the sun. I know that, and so I'm so happy to be alive, and I am so happy to be given this opportunity to live this life and meeting people like you. Okay, so what's the next question? Um, how do you prefer to de-stress?
Um, I do like to meditate and go for a walk. I guess that's a short answer to how I like to deal with
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah. So I like to also talk to people that make me laugh. So, but mostly, yeah, people who make me laugh, and then make me smile. My family mostly, and then I do go for walks, but not rarely. I don't have time for that. But most of the times, I just talk to people who I do walk, but in the office, and talk to the people, my family members, make me smile and laugh, and then that's it. Stress goes away. Uh, what's on your bucket list?
I've done a lot of things on my bucket list. I mentioned I want to go swimming with the sharks in the shark cage. That's definitely on my bucket list now. I feel like I feel like I'm always adding to my bucket list. I think the more you explore life and have adventures, like the more you discover is out there, and also like as you cross things off your bucket list, I feel like you find more things to put on your bucket list. So I don't know. I guess short answer is, well, I'm gonna swim with the sharks in the shark cage as part of my bucket list. And I would like to like take off for like 3 months and just see Europe, you know? Like I've been to Europe or parts of Europe, but I would really just like to like take off for 3 months and just kind of like just go in the grain. I like to go in the grain, you know, like take a backpack and like minimal things and just like travel around and bum around and like be in the grain of Europe, south of France. I've never been to the south of France. I'd love to just go like cruise around there. I've definitely rented a car before and driven on the wrong side of the road, but it would be great to like rent a car and drive all over places on the wrong side of the road. It's kind of interesting to go to places where they drive on a different side of the road than here, you know, like that's fun. Just stuff like that, I guess. And you?
Uh, I don't have many. I've done all of them. I'm about to finish one this May, visiting all the states in the United States. And after that, that's done. Basically done. Um, I've been all over. I think I've been everywhere: Asia, Europe, North America, and um, been traveling. Get tired of traveling, but it's good to experience new things. New new foods, new smells. Sensing new things. Um, I don't think there's a lot left for me to do. Just I love to live. Period. I don't care if it's just me here, carving my wood things, or playing my violin at night, reading a book, watching Netflix at night, going for jogs, daily jogs. Nowadays, that's what makes me happy. And also remembering the good experiences that I had with other people in my bucket list, or you know, it's good. I do have the money to travel, and I have a lot of miles to travel around the United States or the world, but I'll do it more if my family wants to go now. If my dad or my brother or my nephew say, "Hey, I want to go to Australia." Okay, let's go. Let's do it. But I will do it more not for the trip itself. I'll do it more so I could see their reactions, so I could see their smiles, what makes them happy, what makes them upset. Because in every experience, there's going to be a time where, yeah, you do get upset or whatever. Things don't go your way, but they're very fun to be with. My family is very fun to be with. They're very positive. They've also lived a rough life too, but they're very positive challenges. But they're very positive. I like hanging out with positive people. I like that positive vibe, and they admit that. And just, maybe that's my bucket list, asking them. My dad he asked me, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, I had to finish this 4 states, and I'm done." And he says, "How about we go?" He says, "Okay, let's do it." So after I finish this, it will be more like he's asked me to go to Italy, uh, next year. So I might do that. And just he's never been to Italy, so I've been to Italy, and and I know what to expect. But what I don't know what to expect is to see his face, his expression once he sees, the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica, or you know, to see face to face, be face to face with Michelangelo's David. Or go to Florence and see that, see all the architecture. I want to see his face, his facial expressions. That's priceless to me. And talk about it. Talk about what he thinks, because it's different. If I'm FaceTiming him and I'm showing him a 3-inch, statue of David, or a 3-inch building. It's different from seeing him the magnitude and complexity of that building, or that painting, or whatever that may be. You're seeing face to face, and you're actually smelling the streets, and being able to, passing people by, seeing how they what they dress, how they act, and that is priceless. I know what to expect, but seeing it from my father's view perspective that's seeing it newly. That's seeing it like being there again for the first time. That to me is I guess will be my new bucket list. Traveling wherever they want. I don't care if it's Europe, Asia, Africa, or Australia, South America. I don't care. I don't care if they come and visit me. But seeing a new place with them for the first time will be awesome. And so that's I guess my new bucket list.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
Let's see. Do you believe in luck?
Do I believe in luck? I believe in energy, and I do really believe that the times that I've been quote unquote lucky, it's been about energy. Like, I think that when you open your heart, because your heart can get shut down sometimes in life, depending on where you are, life changes, like as you walk the path. And when you open your heart and you open your arms to life, your energy, I think that's when you meet luck. Luck finds you. Serendipity, luck, serendipity. I think that when people are shut down, or in a routine, or a little bit limited, that's when you're not as lucky, like, so to me, like, I believe in energy more than luck. And I think if you open your heart to life and you surrender to the highest good and you walk that path, luck is going to find you. You will meet luck, because your energy, you're living at a higher energy. And anyways, that's what I think it is. The other thing I think is, like, when you need something, like when you really need something in life and you say, like, I really need X, whatever it is, I think it'll show up, because you have a legitimate need. And I think life will offer that to you in some form, and the problem is sometimes people don't recognize things when they show up, and they all almost reject them, because it doesn't always look like you thought it would look, or it doesn't always like come in the form that you thought it would. So you're not awake enough to recognize it, but it is there for you. It is there, And so I think it's based on need, like a legitimate need that is in deep in your spirit that comes out, like food. I need food, and food, you will find food, like, well, your spirit needs to be fed too. So I guess the short answer is I do believe in luck, but I think it's more about energy than it is just luck in and of itself. What about you? Do you believe in luck?
I believe in luck, yes, but I believe that you create your own luck. Hmm. But I do believe in luck. However, my opinion is that you have to create that circumstance. And I believe in probability. So most people, the audience doesn't know this, but I'm a trader by trade, and I work with statistics. And I believe in creating a model to know what the probability is of achieving something. The higher it is, the more probably will happen. The ratio of it being possible, plausible. So what happens is that I put myself in a situation where it's not going to be an expected thing to happen, but it's a high probability of it to happen. And I need that luck, that little push for it to happen. Now that is random, that is basically a random thing that, can happen. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I will put myself in a situation. In other words, I make my own luck where I'm most likely where that luck will be there for me to push me to get that, to achieve whatever I need to achieve. Let me give you an example. So I was in a situation where growing up, I needed money for college, and and the best way to get money for college was to go to the financial aid office. They have an advisor there, a counselor there, and that person tells you how to obtain money. And so the best way to obtain money is apply to anything they give you. So yeah, was I gonna get it, all the money? No. Was I highly probable to get money if I applied to everything? Yes. So I put myself in a situation where I worked at, I worked to get in that situation so I could receive the money. But I need that luck, so those people get, that person seeing it can like what I wrote on that paragraph or that essay that I wrote, and so that is out of my, hands. That's not my hands anymore. That is up to luck. But I worked for that. I worked for that paper to be in that person's hands, and now I need that person to like what I wrote. That's luck, for them to, to like what I like. I mean, to like what I wrote. And so yes, I put myself in the situation, I put myself in a situation where I want to achieve something and I work hard for it to happen. But after there's certain things that I can do that I'm in charge of. But after that, it's up to luck. It's out of my hands now. It's out of my reach. There's nothing I can do. Like just like the weather. It's nothing. There's nothing I can do, but there's something I can do within myself, right? And I put myself in a situation where I'm in a warm environment, so I can feel that warm. I put some lights on, I have lights all over my house, so I can feel like this sun shining. But I put that in my situation, but inside I'm feeling warm, I'm feeling sunlight, I'm feeling cheerful, I'm feeling positive. And so I'm putting myself in a situation where I'm gonna have a good life, a good day. I've been surrounded with people who love me and I love them, So yes, I do believe in luck, but I believe that you create your own luck. All right, next question. Let's see. If you could tell your...
So that's interesting because I think what you're saying is like you have to be ready for luck. In other words, like you can't just like expect luck in and of itself to be the solution. Like you have to be ready for it when it comes, right?
You
So
have to
all the
work.
work
No,
you did, all the preparation, all the skills that you developed,
yep,
you're and then you're ready when luck intersects with your path. You're ready to grab
exactly,
it because you prepared, right? Like you're prepared
exactly,
for it.
exactly. Because there's there's certain things that you have no control over, right? That's the outside world, right? That's you can't do anything about it. That like your emotions, people's thoughts. That's their thoughts. You can't control them. But if you put yourself in a situation where you're with people who love you, you're with people who share that that positive vibe that you have, then luck will give you that that you would share that that good day, and that is you'll have a lucky day where both of you be smiling, having good fun, and enjoying the day, whatever that may be, walking around the park, fishing, seeing that person smile, because you have the good vibe. So you put yourself in a situation where I put myself in a situation where I'm gonna have luck.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that because it's not like you can just like sit around and wait for luck. It's
No,
like you
no,
have to
no, no,
kind of like
no.
do the work, right?
Exactly,
You
exactly.
have
You do
to
the work.
like build your skills, have goals,
Exactly.
have dreams, walk the path, and then
Yes.
be in the right place at the
It
right time.
comes.
And most
Yeah.
likely you will be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. Because you're achieving to have that that goal. You're thinking, you're already putting in your head, I am gonna have that goal, but I need to do this job, this work, blah 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 blah. And
Yeah,
once you
that's
do that,
cool. I
then
like
it
that.
comes. Okay, cool. All right, next question. So it is going to be let's see. If you could tell your past self one thing, what would it be?
If I could tell my past self one thing, what would it be? Wow. Is it only one thing? Can we have more than one thing? No. I think if I could tell my past self one thing, it would be I guess I would tell my past self to have more fun, like I feel like I've had a lot of fun in life, and I um have done a lot of really cool adventurous stuff. Been to a lot of parties, been to a lot of clubs, been to a lot of dances, done a lot of that kind of thing. But I think that like there's something to be said for just silly fun, like you don't always have to like seek it out. It's sort of like just being with the right group of people and having just silly, good old fashioned fun where you're like, it's not about going anywhere or doing anything. It's just about like being with people you enjoy and laughing hysterically until you can't laugh anymore. Like I think that that is something I would go back to my former self and say, hey, you don't have to work so hard at fun. It doesn't have to be an organized thing, an event, a club, a party, a thing, like just being with really cool people you enjoy and you can joke around with is like in some ways more fun than going to a certain thing. So maybe that's one bit of advice I would go back and give myself. What about you?
So yeah, so um I love my life. I've lived my life like I wanted, how I wanted to live. I have no regrets in life. But I would tell myself, um, uh, I think I would seriously would. I know it's gonna sound weird, but I would actually would like to meet you when earlier in life, Moot. Um, I would say to myself, buy yourself a plane ticket to San Francisco and meet this person. She's she's interesting. Not, she's not very fun. She's not very Uh, she's not very. I would say that you are not very. Uh, you're not very affectionate. You're very interesting as a person. You're a cool person. You know, it makes you interesting. They're very different from everyone I've met. You're very unique in that sense. But I would say to myself to buy a plane ticket when I was probably in high school, and or when I was in high school, and then try to meet you, try to know you more, and I would get or have really gotten to know you more. Uh, um, yeah, but that's it. I mean, I have no regrets in life, man. I live my life the way I wanted to live it, the way I made myself. Um, I do things that make me happy, and if it doesn't make me happy, I change it. You know, I change my path so I could make myself. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I don't need that to be happy. I don't need to, as you said, I don't need I don't need a club. I don't need a party. I need to be with people who make me happy, and that's my family. That's my friends, my very close friends. You know, and they love me, and I love them, and I have a tight knit of friends who love me for who I am, and I love them for who they are, and I try to my best to improve them. You know, and that's what basically makes me fun, and what makes them fun too. You know that we enjoy each other companies. It makes this life is awesome. You know, it gives me a lot of luck. I've had all my jobs based on my friends. All my jobs that I've had, every job that I had is because of my friends. I mean, that's how lucky I am, because I put myself in a situation where these people are very good friends with me, that they want to improve me, that they want to help me out. So they want to help me out so much that they want to work with me. And every job that I have to this day has been because of my friends. But I would tell myself, go get a plane ticket and meet her. You don't know who she is. She won't know who you are. Just get to know her. That's it.
Cool.
Next question. Let's see. Do you think yourself as an optimist or a pessimist? I'm gonna say that I've been talking about that. I'm an optimist, 100%, 110%. What about you, Moot?
I think I'm an optimist too.
All right, cool.
I
Okay.
mean, I want to talk about that because
Okay,
I don't
never mind.
like this culture of forced positivity. Like, I think I see that a lot on YouTube, and a lot of actual YouTube creators have talked about this culture of forced positivity. And I think that's right. I think there's a lot of people writing forced positivity messages, and it's positivity, positivity, positivity. And I want to say I believe in positivity in the sense that I believe that you can change energy. You can change dark energy to light. You can do it as the captain of your spirit, you know? But I want to say that optimism is not always about getting the outcome you want, you know, like that comes down to what I was talking about self-interest, you know. It's like,
That's
to
true.
me, my optimism comes from, like, I really believe that I'm here on this earth to learn for the growth of my spirit, you know, or soul, or whatever you want to call that. And I think that my optimism comes from the knowledge that whatever happens in life, you can always learn from that at a deep level. And it can really shape who you are in a positive way. And if you want to take it out of the spiritual realm, there's a good exercise that people do where you go through and identify your core values and the chapters of your life. But what you realize about this core values exercise is that a lot of your values come from negative things that happen to you as much as they come from positive things. In other words, you might experience something that's quote unquote negative, and from that experience, you learn a value, you know, like, I don't ever want to be like that because I experienced it and it didn't feel good. And so from that, you can develop a strong value that becomes part of your core, like part of how you make decisions, how you treat other people, how you do things in life. And so I think optimism is not necessarily forced positivity where everyone's trying to be so positive all the time. I think optimism is about believing that you're going to get an outcome that's going to be very positive and beneficial, even if that outcome doesn't always go the way that you originally wanted it to go. So I'm always optimistic that whatever happens to me in my life, I'm going to learn from it at a very deep level, and it's going to help me, in a lot of ways. So I guess I just wanted to define that better.
That's I mean, I agree with some of what you said, and I agree with the outcome that sometimes you don't get what what you want, and even though you're optimist, like I'm an extremely optimist person, like in the sense where like even though there's rain outside, I am gonna go for a walk today. I mean I am, and you're gonna come with me to Moot. Um, it's wet outside. Most people are not. It's cold and wet outside, and most people don't want to be outside. But I want to feel that oxygen. I want to feel that breeze in my skin, and I want to feel that that wet, that wet breeze that you feel as you walk. You know, I want to feel that. I want to feel that in my skin. I want to feel that bounce in my skin. And I want to be able to see the dew in the grass, and yeah, I'm already thinking that it's going to be a good walk, and I'm positive for that. But it may be closed. The park may some of the trails may be closed because it is over flooded. Because it rained a lot yesterday. So um, it's okay. It may not be the outcome that I want, but it's okay. I'm still going to go, and I'm still going to try because I wanna be able to enjoy that, to put that thought, that goal that I have of feeling that you know that breeze, feeling that, seeing that do see look doing that. Uh, I wanna make it into action, and I'm positive that's gonna happen. But if it doesn't happen, it's okay too. I'm still gonna see it. And perhaps I won't walk through it, but I will see it, and I will see it on the way back to the car if it's closed. You know, and perhaps that park is closed, but I can walk. I can always walk in the parkway, in the parking lot. The parking lot will be empty because there will be no cars, so I can always walk there. And it's a huge parking lot, so it's almost as big as the park. So I'm looking into that positivism gives me avenues to other goals, other solutions, to that challenge. The challenge that I cannot get in. Okay, that doesn't mean that I cannot walk. I have my two legs. I have space. There's places I can walk. You know what I mean? The outside. Yeah. So that positive gives me avenues to new solutions. Okay. So next question. Let's see. How do you describe happiness?
I think happiness is an energy that flows through your body where you're at peace with yourself. Happiness can be, well, I guess happiness can be a lot of things, like it can be excitement about something that you've always wanted that's coming true. It can be like excitement about seeing people and that makes you happy that you haven't seen in a long time. I think happiness can be about a lot of things, but ultimately it's like how you feel on the inside, right? It's like a feeling, energy.
To me, happiness. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, happiness is being with my family. Playing sports, being outside, jogging, getting oxygen. That's what happiness is to me.
being with people that I truly care about, having a conversation with them. Uh, that's what makes me happy. I'm not very materialistic mode. I'm the things that make me happy are basically are free. Growing up, my family did have money, but my parents never gave me money, so I had to find ways to have fun where I didn't spend any money. You know, so I grew up, quote unquote, myself finding ways to have fun by not spending money. So that became ingrained in my brain, saying what makes me happy. Once I became an adult and I got money and I got paid a lot of money and I was able to go in and travel, and I traveled by myself. I traveled with other people, and I traveled with people who were not as cool as I was or whatever. Um, they I always came back and said to myself that sometimes that didn't make me happy, and okay, I'm traveling, or I got this really cool, expensive watch, or that, okay, okay, I got it. So what? So then I said to myself, what makes me happy? That this doesn't make me happy. What makes me happy is being with my family, people I love, truly being outside, playing with my friends, playing sports, playing soccer, just having a ball, just any type of ball, plastic ball, leather ball, I don't care. Having a ball with me, um, any type of ball, football, soccer ball, baseball, being outside, being with people I love, having a great conversation about anything. That, to me, that makes me happy. Just being with my father, my brother, my sister, my nephews, being with my family. Just that makes me happy. Just watching a good movie with them. Every Friday night we will watch movies together as a family. We would go out to eat, and that was non-negotiable. I had to be with them, and that made me happy. Even as I got older, it was my senior year in high school, and I when I was in kindergarten all the way to I was in senior high school, I was with my family every Friday nights. I didn't care if my girlfriend or my friends wanted me to go out that Friday night with them. I said, no, that's not negotiable. I'm going to spend it. I'm going to spend that time with them because that makes me happy. Yeah, you make me happy too. But guess what? I want to make them happy too. I want to make sure they understand that I that that I want to make them happy, because the making them happy makes me happy too. Just it's just like I don't know how to explain it. It's like a it's like when you have really cool, when someone wants to be there and you want to be there, and it's just a really cool energy. It's really good energy flows between you guys, and everybody wants to be there. And just even if the movie sucked or the food wasn't as good, you know, we talk about how how shitty the food was, or how crappy the movie was, and or we talk about the good things about the movie or bad things about the movie. We analyze the movie, but that was fun. That was fun, and that made me happy. That didn't take much money. Just eating at the table with somebody, just being with very 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 poor people, and when I was speaking, and that was actually the best. I don't want to say it, the best job of my life, because I was actually happy. I was actually being with that people. They had nothing to lose. They spoke freely and were able to be themselves. And I was myself, and they were themselves, and it reminded me with my family. Just being themselves, and everything was kept in the family. If it was something, we always had, sometimes we had opinions, sometimes were uncalled for, but it was in the family, and we knew we to correct them or not to correct them or whatever. So that was their opinion. So be it. But it was fun, and it was, and I realized that
after years of getting money, that money doesn't make me happy. That they made me happy. People make me happy. I make myself happy being around with these people. I make myself happy doing things that I love doing, which is jogging, playing sports, reading, getting to know more things. And I know they're busy, but I'm busy too, making myself happy. But whenever they have time, and as I said, when things lined up, we get this time where we both meet each other, and I meet people who are my family members, who are friends. I'm meeting my dad this May, and I know he's a happy person, and I'm a happy person, and so when we meet, it takes it to another level. That energy is to another level. It's so cool, man. All right, next question. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What was your proudest moment?
My proudest moment. I've had so many proudest moments, like some moments are like when you do something in front of a big audience and your family is so excited and proud of you. And some moments that are personal achievements that I'm very proud of myself for, like I would have to say like one of my proudest moments, I guess, is being a whitewater river rafting guide. Because when I started learning I went to guide training, and like honestly, like I was probably the worst one in the whole class of people that was learning to be a whitewater river guide. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the instructors thought I would never pick up this sport, right? Because I didn't even know my river left from my river right. A lot of the students had been like kayakers, so they knew everything about how the river, there's all kinds of ways that the water moves, and there's different terminologies on the river.
KMoot.
I didn't know any of that stuff. And it's like the first like couple of days of the training, I just felt like my body was just got beat up. I felt like I had just been in like 10 bar fights, like because it's so like because of the training is like all day, and it's like it's very like rigorous. And it's not just like the rafting part, like there's a lot of rafting has a lot of equipment. So there's like 10 boats that have to be blown up, and there's like all this gear and all this stuff that has to be hauled down, and it's just like all day. And then when you get off the river, then it's like you have got 10 boats that have to be deflated and rolled up, and all this equipment, and the boats are heavy and have to be loaded. So there's just so much to the sport. But the first night, like I was like just feeling so beat up, like 10 bar fights. And I was having this like, I was in my sleeping bag in my tent, and I was like kind of like half asleep. And I all of a sudden felt like I was on the river, and it was so real. I felt like I was laying on top of the river. And it was the craziest, realest thing I've ever experienced that wasn't real, And I even actually went so far as to reach my hand out because I thought I was going to be touching water. I thought I was on the river and I was going to be touching water. And I wasn't, I was in my tent, And that's when I knew right then and there that this was going to be something that was going to be part of my life for a long time. Because it was almost like the river was speaking to me, like it was like, hey, like just stay with it, like it was really weird. And actually, like it was a really one of the best things I ever did, because when you're a part of a sport like that, where you have to make like when you grow up in a domesticated world such as we live in, like you're living in this kind of like structured world, and you don't have to make a bunch of the survival decisions usually. But when you're a river rafting guide, you're constantly having to make quick decisions within seconds. You're constantly having to look up the river 20, 40, 60, what's 20 foot, what's 40 foot, what's 60 foot. So I was coming back and finding myself like when I was driving my car, like I was finding myself with these heightened senses. Like I could tell when someone was going to cut into me. And like I was all of a sudden, like these instincts I never used before, I was using them all the time. And they were very sharp, you know? So it was kind of like an amazing experience. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I didn't give up, because I know a lot of people and like they give up right away, you know, and it's like, but even though it was hard and challenging, I didn't give up, you know, I stayed with it because I had that moment that was so real where the river was almost like speaking to me. And I just knew that this was something I had to just walk the path, you know, and it ends up being a great experience. I've had so many good moments with like people and friends and groups, and like I've been able to like help people and volunteer. It's ended up just being really cool. So that's one of my proudest moments. What about you?
My proudest moment was probably when I got the signature of um, of Allen Iverson. I've had actually, I take it back. I've had two posters um, in my bedroom when I was younger, and that was of the Beatles and of Allen Iverson. And I loved Allen Iverson. I think to me he's one of my idols. You know, growing up, he was one of my idols. Um, I've never met him as a person, but I met him as, I mean, I've never met him. I don't know him like as a person, but I know I've met him, that person. Um, I don't know him as a person, but I met him as a person. And so um, I was at the university where he's one of his coaches. You know, he wasn't very good. He wasn't a very good uh, free shooter, so he had to go to practice. And so he was with this guy who he was practicing with at the university, and he was his coach. But so me growing up in my junior high school years, I wanted to be with him. You know, I wanted to meet him and get his signature. And I was told myself and my family members and my mom that I was going to get his signature. And they thought I was crazy because he played for the Philadelphia, and it was very far from where I lived. And I knew that I wasn't probably was never going to be with him or see him or meet him. And I was in the first university I went to, and he was there. He was fucking throwing free throws, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe my luck. It was Allen Iverson. Um, at the beginning, I didn't know who he was. I thought it was just some guy because it was university, and I would never in a million years would think he would be at a university. This guy went to Georgetown University in Washington D.C. And you know, he didn't like university. He wasn't a, let's just put it this way, he wasn't a person who liked being in school. So it would probably be the last place you would see him in. And I said, hey, he asked me. I went to play basketball, and I was by myself. It was locked actually. It was the gym where he was at was it was the lights were off, and he was by himself. There was sunshine, you know, coming through the window, so you could see there was still sun. You know, there was no lights on, but there was still sun coming through the window, so it was still light. And I went in, and there was nobody. This was during the summer, and I said, he asked me, "Hey, do you want to play? You want to play basketball?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I didn't know who he was at the beginning, and I said, "Sure." So we started playing 1-on-1, and I had never seen anybody in my entire life dunk at basketball. Never, never, never in my entire life I had seen anybody dunk at basketball. And that was the first time I saw someone dunk at basketball. And I looked at him and I said, "What the?" And excuse my language, but I told him, "What the fuck, man? You just fucking dunked."
he smiled at me. He said, yeah. And then he just smiled at me. He said something like, I'm never gonna forget. He says, man, he said to me, man, you're plain like that. Like he was like talking like slang. And I just smiled at him and I said, wow, shit, man, you're very good. And he said, he just smiled at me. He said, man, you're next. I got the ball and I missed the ball. He grabbed the ball and it slipped from his hands and I got it back and I put it in. He looked at me and he says, oh, okay, you're playing that way. And I said, yeah. And he says, he told me, you have to take it back outside. I said, no. He said, it didn't touch the rim. It hit the backboard. And then he said, you're getting technical. I said, yeah. So I want to win. I told him, I want to win. He looked at me with a serious face. He said, okay, let's do this. And then, as we're playing, I saw janitors coming in, and all of a sudden I see like 15, 20 janitors looking at us. And I'm thinking, what's going on? I'm getting a crowd going on here. This is just me and some guy. And then some guy said, it's something like, you can beat him, Iverson. And I looked at him and I stopped the ball. I said, whoa. Are you Allen Iverson? He said, yeah, I'm Allen. And I was so starstruck. I had never in my life been starstruck. Never. And I was shocked. I was just shocked. I just stared at him. And he said something like, he snapped me out by saying something like, yo, hurry the fuck up. So typical Allen, man. And I said, Allen, I know that this is going to sound weird, but you're my hero. I told him, you were somebody I looked up to growing up. And he was shocked. He was in shock too. Like, dude, I've just been playing with you for like fucking 20 minutes. Like, why, like, what the fuck? Like, I said, can I get your autograph? And he smiled at me. He said, yeah, sure. I ran as quickly as I could to my fucking bag, which was like next. I was literally like, I was literally praying that I had a pen. I was praying I had a pen, I had a paper, and I did not have paper, but I had a receipt in my pocket. I had eaten breakfast that day, and I got a receipt. I usually throw them away. That day, I actually put it in my pocket and I forgot to throw it away. And I had a pen, and I said, "Can you please write it here?" So he wrote his signature behind a receipt, the white part of the receipt, and he put Allen Iverson. It says, "To my faithful admirer." And that was the proudest moment of my life. I gave that receipt, that autograph to my mom, showing her that things can come true, that anything that you want to come true. I don't know when I was going to meet him, but I was going to meet him somewhere, some way, because if there's a way, there's a will. If there's a will, there's a way, and you will figure it out how. But it was just luck that I found him there, and I gave it to my mom. And I told her, Mom, this is the most valuable thing that I have. And that's the proudest thing that I own. But I want you to have it. Yeah, proudest moment of my life.
That's cool.
Yeah, never gonna forget.
That's cool.
Anyways, but let's stop here, and then we can continue on the next session of asking Moot and Kinish and Moot questions.
Yeah, that was a good series of questions. Thanks, Kinish.
Yep.